last child of planet Solara, Peter's Earth adventure in a far-off galaxy, on a quiet and lonely planet named Solara, lived Peter, the last child of his kind. His entire life had been spent learning from old holographic books and exploring the deserted cities that once teemed with life. Solara had lost its population to a natural disaster years before Peter was born, and now, he was the last one. As Peter grew older, his curiosity about the universe grew stronger. He often found himself gazing at the sky, dreaming of other worlds beyond the stars. One day, while exploring an abandoned lab, he stumbled upon something extraordinary, a functional spaceship that seemed to be waiting just for him. Peter gathered enough courage to board the spacecraft, setting the coordinates for a little blue planet he had read about in his book's Earth. The ship roared to life, and Peter was off on a life-altering journey through space. After what felt like an eternity, Peter's spaceship touched down on Earth. The world before him was unlike anything he'd ever seen. There were people everywhere, animals he'd never heard of, and buildings that touched the sky. Overwhelmed but fascinated, Peter wandered through the city streets until he met Nancy, a kind-hearted woman who was intrigued by the lost and confused young boy. Realizing that Peter was far from home and alone, Nancy took him in. She showed him the wonders of Earth, its vast oceans, towering mountains, and sprawling cities. Nancy took Peter to museums, where he learned about Earth's history, art, and cultures. He tasted foods that danced on his tongue in flavors he had never imagined. And for the first time in his life, Peter felt a sense of community as he met people from all walks of life. Peter shared stories of Solara, and Nancy listened in awe. She showed him the importance of family, friendship, and kindness. They celebrated holidays, and Peter was amazed at how people on Earth cherished their time with loved ones. However, as the days turned into weeks, Peter knew he had a choice to make. He could stay on Earth, a planet filled with life and love, or return to Solara, where he was the last of his kind, the keeper of his planet's history. Nancy sensed his dilemma and sat down with him one evening. "Peter, Earth has been enriched by your presence. But you should consider what you truly want. You have a whole planet waiting for you, a place you can rebuild and perhaps, someday, a place you can share with others." Peter took Nancy's words to heart. With a heavy but hopeful heart, he decided to return to Solara, carrying with him the experiences, knowledge, and friendships he had gained on Earth. Nancy hugged him tightly, promising to look up at the stars each night, thinking of her young friend who had so much to give to the universe. Back on Solara, Peter used the technology he brought from Earth to start rebuilding his planet. He planted trees, purified the water, and used sustainable energy to power old cities. He started recording his experiences, creating a new library for future generations. While Peter was physically alone, he felt a sense of connection to the universe that he had never felt before. He continued to learn, explore, and dream, knowing that one day, his planet would again be filled with life, stories, and endless possibilities. He also knew that somewhere, light years away, was a blue planet with good people like Nancy, who had shown him the beauty of life, love, and friendship. And so, under the two moons of Solara, the last child of his planet looked up at the stars, his heart filled with hope and his mind buzzing with ideas. Peter was alone, but he was not lonely, for he carried within him a world full of life, a galaxy full of wonders, and a universe full of possibilities. The story is over. Thanks for watching. The second story, Peter's Dream Quest, journeys to the future in a cozy little town where everyone seemed to know each other's business. A young boy named Peter always wondered about what he would be when he grew up. Unlike his friends, who had clear ideas about becoming firefighters, doctors, or astronauts, Peter was undecided. His mother, Nancy, noticed his confusion and always told him, "Peter, don't worry. Sometimes it takes a journey to find yourself." One night, Peter went to bed with these thoughts swirling in his mind. As he slept, he found himself in a strange but wondrous dream world. The air shimmered with mystery and possibility. A talking owl greeted him and said, "Welcome to the Dream Quest, Peter. Tonight, you'll experience 3 possible futures. But remember, these are not set in stone, they are only paths you might take." The first dream, the healer Peter found himself in a hospital wearing a white coat. He was a doctor, treating patients and making important decisions to save lives. It felt rewarding to help people, to see their smiles and gratitude. Yet, the responsibility was heavy, and the environment was often stressful. The second dream, the storyteller, in the blink of an eye, the scenery changed. Now Peter was in a colorful room full of books, pencils, and computers. He was a writer, crafting stories that took readers on fantastic journeys. He felt joy in creating new worlds, but he also felt the loneliness that often comes from a life spent mostly in imagination. The third dream, the guardian, suddenly, he was in a forest, wearing a park ranger's uniform. He was responsible for protecting wildlife and educating people about the importance of nature. The serenity of the forest filled him with peace, but he also felt isolated, miles away from human contact. As the dreams concluded, Peter found himself back with the talking owl. "So, what have you learned?" the owl asked. "I've learned that every job has its ups and downs," Peter replied. "But more importantly, I've discovered parts of myself in each of these futures." The owl nodded wisely. "Remember, Peter, these dreams are not telling you what you should become but what you could become. The choice is yours." Peter woke up feeling enlightened. He excitedly shared his dream experiences with his mother, Nancy. She listened attentively and said, "See? Journeys can take many forms, even in your dreams. But the most important journey is finding out who you are." As Peter grew older, he found that elements from his dreams manifested in different ways. He became a medical writer who volunteered at national parks during weekends. In blending his dream world possibilities, he had crafted a life that felt whole. Years later, as he wrote a book to educate children about healthcare and nature, he couldn't help but think back to that magical dream quest. It had given him the courage to explore, to dream, and to become the unique individual he was meant to be. And so, he dedicated his book to the wise talking owl of his dreams and to his mother, who taught him the value of life's many journeys. The end. The story is over. Thanks for watching. The story is over. Thanks for
Oscar and the Friendly Monster. Once upon a time, in a small village, lived a boy named Oscar. Oscar was a curious and brave boy who loved to explore the world around him. One day, while playing near the forest, Oscar heard a strange noise. It sounded like someone was crying. Oscar followed the sound and found a small cave. Inside the cave, he saw a monster. The monster had big, round eyes, fluffy fur, and a very sad expression. Oscar was a little scared, but he decided to be brave. "Hello," Oscar said kindly. "Why are you crying?" The monster looked up and sniffled. "Hello," it replied in a soft voice. "My name is Momo. I am crying because everyone is afraid of me. But I don't want to scare anyone. I just want a friend." Oscar smiled. "Don't worry, Momo. I will be your friend." Momo's eyes sparkled with joy. "Really? You are not afraid of me?" Oscar shook his head. "No, you seem very nice. Let's be friends." From that day on, Oscar and Momo became the best of friends. They played together every day, exploring the forest and having many adventures. Momo showed Oscar secret places in the forest, like a hidden waterfall and a magical flower garden. Oscar taught Momo how to play games like hide and seek and tag. One day, Oscar had an idea. "Momo, let's show the villagers that you are not scary. Let's have a big party and invite everyone." Momo was a little nervous, but he trusted Oscar. Together, they decorated the village square with colorful ribbons and balloons. They prepared delicious snacks and made a big sign that said, "Welcome to Momo's party." When the villagers arrived, they were surprised to see Momo. At first, they were scared, but Oscar stood next to Momo and said, "This is my friend, Momo. He is very kind and friendly. There is no need to be afraid." The villagers watched as Oscar and Momo played games and told funny stories. Slowly, they realized that Momo was not a scary monster at all. He was just a friendly creature who wanted to be loved. By the end of the party, everyone in the village loved Momo. They thanked Oscar for showing them that sometimes things that seem scary are not scary at all. They just need a chance to show their true, kind nature. Oscar and Momo continued to have many adventures together, and the villagers always welcomed Momo with open arms. Oscar learned that true friendship can overcome any fear, and Momo learned that being kind and friendly can change hearts. And so, Oscar and Momo lived happily ever after, sharing their joyful friendship with everyone around them. The end. Rainy Day Discoveries. On a wet and windy Saturday morning, Peter and his friend Carmen looked out of the window with a sigh. The rain was pouring down in sheets, turning their much-anticipated outdoor adventure into a distant dream. The park, where they had planned to meet their friends, was now a soggy mess. As they sat in Carmen's living room, the sound of raindrops tapping against the window, they wondered what they could possibly do on such a gloomy day. "We can't just sit around all day," Carmen said, her face brightening with a sudden idea. "Let's invite everyone over and find something fun to do indoors." Peter nodded enthusiastically, and soon their friends arrived, shaking off their umbrellas and raincoats. The living room was abuzz with chatter and laughter as everyone settled in, grateful to be out of the rain. "Let's do something creative," suggested Peter, his eyes scanning the room for ideas. He spotted a box of art supplies and a stack of old magazines. "How about a collage-making competition?" he proposed. The friends divided into teams and started crafting their masterpieces. They cut out pictures from magazines, drew colorful designs, and glued everything together to create beautiful collages. The room was filled with creativity and laughter, and they forgot all about the rain outside. Carmen, always fond of storytelling, had another idea. Let's each tell a story, but there's a twist. Each story must start with an object in this room. Her friends loved the idea, and they spent the next hour weaving fantastic tales about ordinary objects like a teacup, a cushion, and even a potted plant. As the stories unfolded, Peter noticed how the gloomy day had transformed into an afternoon of joy and imagination. He marveled at how a rainy day had brought them together in a way that a sunny day never could. After storytelling, they decided to bake something. The kitchen was soon filled with the smell of chocolate chip cookies and laughter as they mixed, poured, and tasted their way through the cookie-making process. As the evening approached, the rain had stopped, but their indoor adventure continued. They ended the day with a homemade movie theater experience. Carmen hung a white sheet on the wall, and they used a projector to watch their favorite movies. They made popcorn, turned off the lights, and settled in with blankets and cushions, laughing and chatting through the movies. The day had started with disappointment, but it had turned into one of the most memorable days for Peter, Carmen, and their friends. They discovered that with a little imagination and willingness to try new things, even a rainy day could be filled with adventure and joy. As their friends put on their coats and opened the door to leave, the world outside seemed different. The rain had stopped, leaving the air fresh and the streets glistening. They stepped out, saying their goodbyes, already looking forward to their next indoor adventure. Peter and Carmen waved from the doorway, grateful for the rain that had brought them closer together. They realized that sometimes the best moments are the unexpected ones, found in the laughter and creativity shared with friends on a rainy day. And so, every time it rained, they knew it was just another opportunity for a new adventure. A day to explore the limitless possibilities that lay within the walls of their homes and the bounds of their imagination. The end.